So you've been painting a bit. You're trying to at least figure out all this watercolor stuff by painting along with someone like her, or him, or them, and maybe me too, right? But the thought of venturing off and creating your own composition is terrifying. The likes of, well, whatever scares you really bad. Yeah. So today I'm painting a Fibonacci floral composition, and I have a challenge for you. Are you ready? All right, now watch this video all the way through. Then I want you to paint your own composition, a totally different composition than what I'm doing. Because listen, you can develop your own composition, and the longer you put it off, the further off your success moment is. It's that simple. So this is the Fibonacci Spiral. I have another video all about composition. It's not a deep dive, but it'll get you started. I'm gonna link it below. This is one of the many ways that we can plan a visual composition. Think of it this way. Imagine a flower and some leaves, maybe a few filler greens that you like, and arrange them along this spiral. Your focal point will be here, right in the middle, where everything comes together in that tight swirl. And we're gonna work our composition out from there. Yes, I know, this is a super baseline, obvious way of using the spiral for composition, but it works. And it's a flipping fantastic place to start. Let's get into the painting. All right, I'm thinking about my spiral on this round watercolor paper from Rubens. I'm spraying down my palette. I'm going in with the big 3/4 inch flat wash brush because I'm gonna start with the focal point. And I wanna make sure it's off center because that's a compositional thing. Again, watch that video below, it'll help you out. And we're just gonna get our flower in there. Friends, this isn't a how to paint this thing. This is a how to arrange the composition. But let me know, would you like to see this video again with the exact instruction of how to paint all the elements that I'm about to paint? Hit me up in comments and tell me what you think. Okay, we got that pink focal point flower in. It's time to add some green leaves just to build up that strong element right there off center. That's basically the central of that spiral, the real tight part of the spiral. That's what we're building up here. I'm still adding greens here, friends, and I'm thinking about fanning out, getting that spiral going further into my paper, but all the while maintaining that focal point where the spiral is tight. Some things I'm thinking about now as I get away from that focal point area is making sure that the supporting elements aren't the same size as the focal point elements. I want variation at this point. Now I'm working back at the focal point, adding some really dark moments again to keep the eye on that beautiful pink flower prize. As I'm painting, I'm always thinking about my focal point, where I want my eye to land first. And that means I'm always coming back to the focal point and checking and evaluating and making sure it's still popping and there aren't other things competing with it too much. Definitely wanted to fill out the composition, add more interest, and basically fill up the paper. But how do I do that without losing my swirl and without losing focus on the, you guessed it, focal point? And back I go to that focal point, making sure that I keep the balance heavier over there. That's where I want the eye to go. So I'm adding in just some olivey, yellowy green leaves and branchy moments, holding my brush perpendicular. Oh, but remember, this isn't a how-to video on how to paint, so how easily I forget. I'm realizing on the left here, adding in those very light strokes, bigger strokes, it kind of threw things off balance. My eye started to get a little confused. And even at this point in the painting, my eye is bouncing too much back and forth between the left side and the right side. So I've really got to build up that focal point flower. I got to give it more love. I got to zhuzh it up to make sure that my eye really starts there. So here's a couple of ways that I do that. Add some detail to existing leaves. Add darkness over top of existing leaves, like that big one at the bottom, and detail. So basically contrast. So there's no mistaking where you want that eye to go as soon as it hits the page. And all of a sudden, things are back in perfect balance, imbalance. You know what I mean. The composition's working again. Keeping your composition in check is one of the main reasons, at least it's one of the main reasons I do this one thing. I'm constantly stepping back, even just sitting back in my chair and taking a look at where I'm at with everything. And it might just be a quick couple second glance, but it's just enough time to let me evaluate what's going on, what's working, and what I need to change. But right after that, I'm back at the focal point, adding a lot more detail into the pink petals. And by now, you can see where the spiral really comes into play. But it's not an obvious spiral. It's organic and lovely and balanced and imbalanced, and it's the makings of a really satisfying composition. Adding a few dark moments here, emanating from the pink flower to really bring it home. I love tendrils. Friends, if you want to know more about filler flowers and all the things, they're really going to help your composition. There's a video I'm linking below. Check it out. All right, how are we feeling? Did this help? Do you feel like you got some value today, that you learned a little something new about composition? Let me know in comments what your aha moment was, and while you're at it, give this video a boop. That's a like. Now, I know you agreed to the challenge earlier in the video, but if you're not feeling quite ready, this video about creating a really simple repeat pattern is a great next stop for you. Until next time, friends, I wish you so much happy painting.